Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning for some of you, good evening for others. This is like literally a group of Black ladies from all over the world, all over the planet, and I really love it. That really just goes to show one of the things that I've always wanted was a group of women that I could connect to, that were quite literally located all over the world. And so that says that I am living on purpose, and I really love it. So I really appreciate you all coming and taking an hour out of your time to spend some time with me to help you with your writing. So thank you so much. I think it's Nika that just came in. Thank you so much for coming in. Nika,
Hi.
how are you?
Hi, good evening.
Wonderful.
I'm good. I have a slight cold, but
Okay, no
I'm
problem. I'm glad
gonna
you're
go
here.
off video though.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, shit.
So today we are talking, well, let me introduce myself for people who may not know who I am. My name is Halana Black. I'm an author coach, a meditative writing teacher, and what we're doing today is we're talking about the 10 first questions you should be asking yourself before you actually start to write your nonfiction book. You may want to ask these questions if you're doing fiction as well, but my focus at this particular moment is on nonfiction. So if you have something to write with, that would be great. If you have like a, pen and paper, or if you just want to type something out somewhere, that's cool. I think of this session as more of like a group brainstorming session. You can use these questions to sort of like guide you into thinking about how it is that you want to start to begin your book, as sort of you need a foundation for how you want to be able to start your book. The way most people start a book is that they just start writing chapter one, which is or somewhere they start writing a story, which is good to just sort of get the juices flowing about what it is that you want to write. But then people will often lose focus once they start doing that. And so, they'll quit on chapter two, or they're just like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have a map of where it is I'm trying to start, what it is. I don't know what it is that I want to accomplish with this. So these questions will really help you with thinking about that. And then at the end, I've told everybody there'll be an opportunity if you're interested. I'll be doing a group class, which will be paid for. So I will talk about that at the end. However, you can totally use these questions if you just want to do something on your own. Okay, so first question. We talk about passion and interest. Does anybody have like more than one idea that they think they want to write about, or is everybody, they sort of clear on the one thing that they want to write about?
I have no idea. I have
Hmm.
some things, but I don't have a thing.
You don't have anything?
I have some
Some
ideas of things,
ideas. Okay.
but not like nothing strong.
Okay. So then the first question is, what is it that you want to write? And if you have several ideas, just pick the top two, maybe three things that might come up for you. Just jot something down, just to get an idea. It doesn't need to be, full-fledged, perfect. We're just jotting down ideas today. I'm going to put the questions in the chat so people will have it. And if anybody wants to share what it is that they want to write about, just, briefly, a quick sentence or two, what it is that you want to write about. If you don't want to share, that's cool too. There's no obligations. But sure, Kathy.
Yeah, so I have had a few stories I've been wanting to write. The first is a set of a series of short stories.
Mhm.
I always title my things to keep my head clear about what it is about,
Mhm.
and this one is called Signs and Signals of a Life Transforming. So it's these short stories that are actually, I consider memoir, so they're not
Mhm.
nonfiction. And then the second one is a revision of a journal that is in e-form right now, and it's somewhere in the internets, but it needs to be revised, and it needs to be a little more longer than just a few lines for people to journal. It's a
Mhm.
kind of a guide, and it's for hope to keep people inspired and hopeful. And it's called "Have You Ever Seen the Sunrise?" And
Mhm.
so that is the second thing that I'd like to work on.
Mhm. So are you working on them both at the same time, or do you want to focus on one or the
Oh,
other?
one at a time. I'd like to really work on the short stories.
The short stories. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I finally, relatively recently, been writing for many, many, many years, everything from like poetry to kids' stories, short fiction. But I realized that what I needed to write first was my own story.
Mhm.
And that's for me. I really don't care if anybody else reads it. It's a grounding thing for me. Some of you know some of my background, some of you don't, but it's important for me like to put all of this stuff down on paper,
Mhm.
um, because some of it doesn't even, I don't even remember a lot of it, and some of it doesn't feel true, but it is.
Mhm.
I have my youngest daughter is 27, and she recently gave me a book that said, it's like a fill-in template book, and it says, "Mom, I want to know your story." So she
Mhm.
knows some things, but she doesn't know everything.
Mhm.
And then she's doing one for my granddaughter over the years who's 5. So I want to start with my story, and I think it would give some legs um, to the rest of what I might have to say after that.
Mhm.
And again, so this is a project that I think is just for me. I never
Yeah.
thought I would write just for me. I always thought I would be a writer with an audience of some sort. But I figured out I can't get there from here. I have to start here.
Yeah. I love that. Being able to have a story to be able for, well, for yourself, you said, first of all. Um, and I think that's very smart to be able to write for yourself first. I wish I had that from my mother to hear it from her words about her life. I wish I would have that. So I think that's a wonderful gift that you're doing for yourself and for your daughter.
Yeah, me too. I wish I had it from my mom as well, because that would have explained and helped an awful lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it would have to start with me.
Hmm. I love it. Thank you
Thank
for sharing that. Okay, so question number two, sort of, uh, I guess we've already sort of talked about it, but what is my main motivation for writing this book? What is my main motivation for writing this book? And for you, Nika, because you said that you have several ideas, but you're not really sure which one is the strongest, or if you want to write about any of them at all. But you can sort of use this question to sort of help you to eliminate, things that may not fit at the moment. Like, if it's an idea that, maybe you're not ready to write, or you don't feel like writing this, or anything like that, you can just sort of cross it off and it'll help you sort of dwindle down to 1 or 2 ideas, if that's helpful. Hello, Zaki, I see you.
Hi, sorry, technical difficulties.
No worries. We're on question number 2. I don't know if you can see the chat yet, but question number 2, we've already, well, question number 1, we've decided what it is that we're going to write about. We just sort
Okay.
of jot down a couple of questions about, or a couple of sentences about that. Question number 2, we're writing down our main motivation for writing the book.
Thank you.
Mhm. So if anyone wants to share, we can get into the sharing portion. I want to make sure we stay on time today. What's your main motivation for writing your book? Yes.
For me, I I want to write a book about my journey with reversing my diabetes.
Mhm.
And I want to do it to help other people because when you go to the doctors, they basically make you feel like this is your life sentence and you'll never get rid of it. You're going to have it forever and just learn how to manage it. And I want to let people know it's not your death sentence. This is not going to be, doesn't have to be one of the causes of death listed on your death certificate. You can reverse it and you can thrive during and after. So that's, yeah.
I love that. I love health books and personal stories of people winning over a health diagnosis. There's always something good to be able to read. Because what you get from the doctor is always going to be different from what you actually hear from other people who use other methods to
Right.
be able to make themselves healthy.
Yep.
So all those types of stories are always needed. Kim says she'd love to know more.
Sure. I'll give you my info and you can contact me anytime.
Perfect, thank you.
Anyone else like to share their motivation?
Well, My motivation, it's kind of twofold. I've had countless people tell me that I should write a book about my life, but I'm just kind of like, well, it's just me. And then I think about lessons. So more of a book about, of course, telling my life story or life experiences, teenage mom, things like that, just childhood, but how you don't have to be a product necessarily, a product of your environment, or you can overcome, your circumstances. So more or less a motivational, but from a child's perspective on
Mhm.
through, adulthood, because yeah, I've done a lot, been through a lot, experienced a lot, and but just to encourage somebody else. And I think that's probably why people say I should write something, because I don't really think of it as, oh, I overcame a lot. I just survived in my mind, right? So
Yeah. To encourage other people. That's probably one of the major factors of being able to write a nonfiction book, to be able
yes,
to encourage others, because you didn't go through all of what it is that you've gone through just for yourself. There
right.
are other people who are where you were, and they need to be encouraged. So
Mhm.
that's a wonderful motivation to be able to write your book. You
Thank
need
you.
something that's going to keep you, to get you not just starting the book, but to be able to get you through to the end.
Yes, yes, and not get so bogged down. Like I've been keeping like a notes page
Mhm,
in my phone. So like when I have different ideas, I'm like, oh, that's a good book chapter,
mhm,
So I have like I haven't actually started actually writing, but like
mhm.
different ideas and things I've just kind of kept a note of. So
Yeah. Mhm. That's awesome. So you've been thinking about this for a while.
oh, a long while. So when I see, well, from the Exodus Summit, of course, I'm like, you know what? Because I'm not really active as far as, the Facebook group. I'm just not really big on social media.
Mhm,
I'm horrible with it, actually. And this is my fourth summit. So it's like, because I'm not as active on Facebook, there's so many people in the community that I still don't know, even though
mhm.
I've been part of Exodus Summit for a minute, but it's just, and been to meetups and everything. And it's just like, okay, girl, come on.
I hear you.
So no, this is good.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
One more person, if there is. Your motivation for writing your book? Or we can go into question number 3.
Yeah,
Sure.
my motivation for this one, the short stories, is to inspire women to consider self-awareness and observation, and use their intuition to discover changes that may be occurring throughout their lives, and instead of fearing, but it's a guide. It's more like stories that hopefully will inspire you to or women to not fear or have doubt, but use kind of their in, in I guess introspection
Mhm. Yeah.
more, yeah. Um and discernment,
Mhm,
yeah. So yeah, just not fearing
mhm,
things that come up, questioning, but not fearing, or yeah, kind of like the silver lining. You think things are happening in the negative, but there's always silver lining behind each
mhm.
story.
Yeah, you want to be able to help people to find the deeper meaning in what they're
Deeper, Thank you.
Their deeper meaning in what it is that they're going through. What is this for? What's the meaning?
Yes. a
Why,
deeper
why
meaning.
me? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the stories lend themselves to that. It's so these are short stories, but it's a memoir.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love it.
you.
Mhm. All right. Question number 3. Who is my reader? And notice I'm using the word reader, and sometimes when people ask this question, they'll say, well, who is my audience? Which is sort of a big and wide question. What I'm asking you is, who is my reader? Who is that one person that I'm actually writing to or for? An exercise that I have done with clients in the past is I ask them to write a letter to this one person because it helps them, give this person a name. What do they look like? Where are they in life right now? Um, what is it that they're going through? And how is it that you can use this, your book, your wisdom, to be able to support where they are in their lives right now? So rather than having a big wide, I'm writing for all women, or, just think of one person, one individual. It could be a real person that you actually know. It could be your younger self. It could be a composite, all, put together into one person of maybe different women or different people that you've met in your life somewhere. You can do it however it is that you choose to do it, but just come up with one reader. Okay, who is your reader? What are your thoughts on who your reader is?
So my reader is about 40 years old. She's a Black woman who is probably in her 40s or older.
Mhm.
And she's on a quest now for she's spiritual, but not necessarily religious. And she's on a quest now to get to read all the self-help and empowerment books
Mhm.
um that are on the shelf that are going to help her answer some questions about um some problems that she is having at this stage of her life.
Mm. Awesome. I love that.
That too broad?
Well, you say to have, you want her, she has questions about problems that she's having in her life.
Yeah, why, and how to resolve them maybe, or how to looking for perspective on, yeah, on how to maybe solve, it's not necessarily solve, but find encouragement
Mhm.
for, or some guidance.
Well, you would have, and I'm sure you've probably written this, but because I know we're in a group setting and perhaps you don't want to give specifics, but to be specific about what the thing is that she's looking for. Does that make sense? Like what are the guiding questions that she needs
Oh,
and
I see what you're saying.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I have to go back and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Um,
Anyone else want to share who their reader is?
My reader would be the person who took one metformin pill
Mhm.
and woke up and said never again. Because that stuff, it makes you feel horrible. So
Mhm.
it's for that person that took the one and was like, this is not going to be in my life.
Mhm.
That's, yeah.
Right, and she needs an answer now. Like, what else is there? Because this ain't it.
Right, right. Because that's what I did. I took one pill and was like, no.
Mhm. I think that's a compelling enough reason to pick up this book. Mhm. One more person? Anyone want to share who their reader is?
I'm wrestling with this because I know you said it could be like a composite of,
Mhm.
and so I think that's kind of like where mine is because my reader is a Black young lady or woman who's ever felt abandoned or rejected.
Mhm.
And so because it's from a little girl on up through adulthood, it can the book can speak to the little girl in the woman, right? But it can also speak to the little girl in encouraging and showing her, empowering her of what she can accomplish. Um, yeah.
Mhm. So the little girl or the young woman, well, you said the young woman who's been
Rejected or abandoned.
rejected or abandoned. Okay. Mhm.
And I guess because just from and there's of course different ways of feeling rejected. You can feel rejected
Mhm.
on a job, right? You can feel
Right.
rejected, within your family,
Mhm.
abandoned, right, by your family. And so as far as speaking from life experiences, like I've been through foster care, I've been bounced around.
Yeah.
And so being able to, speak to maybe that young lady who is in the foster system,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like just, but then also speaking to, that woman who was in an abusive relationship, abusive marriage,
Mhm.
Cheated on, beat up, whatever, just because of things I've experienced, divorced, but also showing the other side um, of that, like where I am now, in the empowerment of owning my voice,
Mhm.
owning my path, creating my own path, because you can be in an abusive relationship with a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been there, done
Oh,
that too. So so just that's why I said it's like speaking to the young lady in two ways, where she is now, right? But then also where she can aspire to be. And then as far as the woman, healing that little girl, right, who may have gone through some things, um, and doesn't know why it's showing up in her adult life the way it is. Because I
Mhm.
went through that too. So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to be able to because we have to be able to figure out what stories we want to be able to pluck from
Mhm.
our lives and put it in the book. It sounds like you have several books. Like there's several stories, there's several ways that you may have a series, to be honest.
Seriously? I never even thought of it that way. Wow. Okay.
Because you're talking about younger women, and then there's, one for, who may be in the workplace and,
Yeah.
need some information about trying to connect what they went through before with the decisions that they're making now. Yeah, it's a lot. It's different stages. And so to put your whole life into one book is kind of difficult. So we
Yeah.
have to be able to pick and choose which
Okay.
story we want to lead with first.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 4. Let's see. What unique perspective or expertise do I bring to my topic? What unique perspective or expertise do I bring to my topic? Okay, question number 4. What are you an expert in? What do you bring that's unique or unique angle or unique experience that you bring to your topic? I know that we like to think of expertise as somebody who's like a doctor or, you know, somebody who has 10 degrees or something like that. But I like for us to be able to think of ourselves. We are experts in our own experience, first and foremost. No one can ever tell you what it is that you've experienced or are experiencing currently. So you are always an expert in your own personal experience. So you can always write from an authority from that space.
Yeah. That's what I wrote. That I have lived the stories that I want to write, and I opened up to receiving these signs and signals from the past to guide me to healing and understanding. So I'm an expert in my own in my own life. And so that question actually helped me, I believe helped me with the third question, was that the person reading, the reader is someone who wants to be empowered and healed. I don't know if that is, or that is what you were getting to, because you were saying, what does she want? So.
Well, she wants to be empowered and healed, but sometimes people need confirmation that what they're thinking is true, or what they've been through is legitimate. Because
Right.
sometimes, you know, you go through a thing, particularly, or I'll be personal. In my own family, I would say, oh, I experienced this. When you said this, it made me feel this way. And they're like, oh, girl, get out of my face. You know? And it just it diminishes your thoughts and how it
Right.
feel your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. And so it's nice to have somebody who's already sort of been through that process and being able to say, well, you're not crazy.
Yes.
What you're thinking actually is right.
It is
And,
right.
you know, I'm here to tell you that it is because of X, Y, and Z reasons.
Right. So confirmation, someone to confirm, she is looking for confirmation in her life that she's okay. And that she is okay. There's no need for fearing or doubting herself, because it is a self-help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the kid says, the validation of the experience.
Right. Okay. I'm not finding the words. It's too late here. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's why you can write down the questions and you always have time and space to go back to them.
Okay.
Anyone else want to share before we move on to question number 5?
I do really quickly, because this was I thought I knew the answer to this question off the top. For me, I think, like with most of us, my experiences, I've lived these experiences that I want to write about for me, but I realize that I also have to be able to tell the truth about, like, my part in some of this madness, which I wasn't always able to do. So like to be able to see it. A lot of times things work for me when I'm able to step back and watch my life like I'm watching a movie or a TV show or something like that, and get a perspective, because more than anything, I want to see things as they are. And that has been a shortfall for me. And so I don't, that's one of the reasons why I want to document. And I use that word purposely so I can document some of the things that I have been through and tell things as they are from an emotional space. I'm not enmeshed in this stuff anymore. And so I have no investment in the outcome of whoever is the reader. So for this particular project, the reader is just me. And I'm open, that's who I'm writing for. That's what I'm writing. But if it could go someplace else, that's great. So this was a really, really, really good question. It's not as simple as it seemed to be
Yeah.
on the surface.
To be able to figure out where it is that you are in the story and how other people can benefit from what it is that you have to offer.
You know, and at this point, this is going to sound really crazy, but if somebody benefit, great. If they don't, that's okay. You know, I don't really feel like I got anything to. I just want to document this. You know, I'm not trying to teach nobody anything. I'm not trying to prove a point. Not trying to do any of that. I just want to document the things in a way that tells the truth about what happened. And you know, and maybe one day I'll be able to help somebody. I don't know, but I don't feel like I'm there just yet. I don't feel like I'm there just yet.
Yeah, you need to be able to write it for yourself. And that's a perfectly valid reason to write.
Thank you.
For yourself first.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, number 5. What are the core themes or messages I want to convey? So I have an example. In the book, Becoming by Michelle Obama, she writes about her story of growing up in Chicago to growing up to eventually becoming the First Lady of the United States. So her theme for her book is identity and belonging. So this is just a general overall big picture. Where does my book fit into and this could literally be anything. It could be a couple of things that you're thinking about. This doesn't have to be exact today, but it is something for you to be able to think about. What is the theme, or maybe there's 2 or 3 themes that you might want to look at while you're writing your book. So can you all hear me? Yeah. So some examples of themes that you might want to look at. Some of you have mentioned things like overcoming adversity. That's always a popular theme to be able to explore. It could be a social justice issue. Social justice might be an issue. You might want to look at something like resilience and recovery. It could be a story about faith and spirituality. It could be about relationships. You know, this literally could be anything, but just to think about just the broader overall, what are the ideas that tie your book together? I'm going to move on to question number 6. What research or additional information do I need to write my book? So Jaylee, you said you wanted to write a book about diabetes. You might want to include information about, high rates of diabetes amongst Black women and why. Just
Amongst
to
the
sort of
world.
bring in that. Go ahead.
I said it's amongst the world. It's like running rapid everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had no idea Asians were the most populated people with diabetes because you look at them, you think, oh, they got a good diet. They did no.
Yeah. Now, what you want your research to do is to be specific to your reader. Not that you can't include Asians because you live amongst Asians right now. It's part of your story. But to also include research that brings in the actual experience of the person that you want to be able. Are you talking to everybody in the world? Or are you speaking to you're not speaking to everybody that has diabetes. You're speaking to a very specific population of people with diabetes.
Yeah, just Americans, basically. Yeah.
And even in bringing up the story of Asians, because we're always told that Asians are always, smarter, healthier, all sorts of things than Black people are. So if you have research that says otherwise, that's certainly, I would include that in the book.
Yeah.
And the way that we get turned around, talk about medical stuff makes me so angry. It really does. Because we get such wrong information about who we are and why we are in the state of health that we are. And we never really get the true help that we need until we get to a point where we're just like, I'll just do stuff on my own. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because how the system is set up. That's what it basically boils down to, is set up. Like when I had a class and the professor was a doctor, and he explained how diagnosis goes by if I can give you a medication. If I can't give you a medication to fix whatever it is you're saying, then it's nothing wrong with you. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. It really has nothing to do with you as a person.
Nothing to do with you individually.
Mhm. Anyone else have, do you need any help in thinking about what sort of research would help to? The research, the reason the research part is so important is because you don't necessarily want a book that is
Mhm.
only for you or only about you, but you want to be able to tie your story to other things that are going on in the world. It makes it
So-
relevant. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, so mine kind of touches on spiritual themes,
Mhm.
and I've been looking for resources on non-Christian beliefs and thoughts, and that may point me to these occurrences that have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, sometimes, we hear about things, family members say, oh, I had dreams about X, Y, and Z. That means something, this is gonna happen, or, or that's gonna happen, and kind of like, where do these stories or these experiences, where's the essence of them, and how do people believe certain things throughout their younger years,
Mhm.
and even into adulthood.
Mm.
So
Do you have that research already?
no, I'm starting to do that, to look
Mhm.
for some materials.
Mhm.
When I was in Philly, I went to this store that sells things on about hoodoo and other yeah, and they were out of stock on their books, so I didn't get to bring them with me or find them. So I've got to start all over again doing research.
Yeah. You can also do like your own qualitative research if you have older people in your family, or just older people in general,
Right.
to be able to ask questions about their personal experiences.
Yes.
That might be nice to have.
Yes. I have a few people who can tell me. Uh-huh.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, question number 7. We're talking about writing styles. What writing styles are appropriate for my book and audience? So when you think about writing styles, again, it could be a whole list of things, but some things that come to mind immediately are things like, are you doing something that's persuasive? Are you trying to make a strong argument for one way or the other? Are you doing more narrative storytelling, where you're saying, I started in this place, some stuff happened in the middle, and then I ended up over here? Are you doing more like an analytical book, where you're being very critical, you're evaluating facts, information? Maybe it's more of a thoughtful and investigative sort of a thing. It could also be very reflective, where it gets, you're telling your personal story, you're being introspective, again, very thoughtful. you know, it could be literally anything. It could be descriptive, where you give a lot of vivid details and
Mhm.
colors, sounds, and smells and things like that.
Mm.
And in general, you can use these styles in different parts of a book, but generally you want to be able to lead throughout most of the book with one or two different styles.
Mm. Mhm.
So anyone want to share their writing style that they're thinking about?
I will share.
Sure.
Thanks for hosting this. I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. I saw the nonfiction writing and I wanted to be more in it. But the questions helped me to narrow things down, and I think the style would be reflective and introspective.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to write, well, the first thing, some type of nonfiction around being a first-gen immigrant, particularly Caribbean American
Mm-hmm.
woman. And yeah, I think it would be more reflective and introspective with a little bit of analytical, critical
Mm-hmm.
type thing, because I want to talk about cultural differences
Yeah.
between the two, and also how we navigate or don't, how we don't belong in either world.
Mm-hmm.
We have like one foot in one foot in the other. You could be there, you can mask there and mask here, but you're never really feeling like you completely fit in either place.
Yeah, and that's a theme that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Mm.
Just not be, you just never really fit anywhere. Nothing was ever really created with you in mind. You know, the sort of mainstream life has not been created for you. So you just got to make your own.
You just gotta right. Oh, that ties in the other thing that I wanted to, that the other book that I wanted, the other topic that I wanted to write about, which is crafting a life you want. Yep.
Mhm.
That, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you got plenty of ideas to write about, Nika.
But they tie in together. They don't, well, when I started off, it felt like completely different things. And
Mhm.
just you saying that was like, oh, yeah, this is how this could tie together.
Mhm. Excellent. Anyone else? What writing style are you thinking about?
Mine, I think, is gonna focus on narrative storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, telling,
Yeah.
really telling the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and other people's stories that have been told to me.
Mm-hmm. Other people that have shared with you. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. Zakia says hers is reflective and narrative. Excellent. So number 8, how can I balance storytelling with factual information? How can I balance storytelling with factual information? This goes back to I think it was question number 6, where we talked about research. You know, you want to lead with your story, but you also, you want it to have context. You know, so it's not necessarily that people need to be able to check up with whether or not the story that you are telling is correct. But people need to be able to feel like your experience is connected to some other sort of phenomena that is going on in the world.
I like that.
And
Thanks,
how you
Monica.
create that connection is up to you.
I think that's really good, Helena, because I was thinking when you were talking about number 6, and as far as like statistics,
Mhm.
and I was thinking about back in the 80s, right, when there was, so many drugs pushed into our communities, right, and how my parents fell into that, which is how I ended up in foster care and all of that stuff. But there's statistics out there, research, right, behind black black and brown people in particular who were incarcerated at alarming levels, but also who succumbed to the drug use. And then also I had statistics on Black children in foster care, the higher levels, higher numbers, I should say, and because they just weren't reuniting. And
Mhm.
then I also had stats for teen pregnancies,
Mhm.
and how that correlates with high school graduation because of what I went through and how they pretty much tried to count me out
Mhm.
and change my schedule and all that craziness when I was in high school.
Mhm.
So just tying that, telling my story, but also providing context behind it, in that this was a real thing. There
Mhm.
was, this was systemic in nature.
Absolutely. And so what you're doing is you're taking the stats of, who knows how many hundreds of maybe thousands of people
Yeah.
who've been affected by drug use, and being able to put an actual real face, a real life um, in front of it to be able to lead that story.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's certainly useful. Because we've heard statistics about, the numbers of people, who've been affected by drug use, or, we've heard of, things about stories about crack babies and all sorts of other things. But rarely do we ever get to really hear the individual stories of people who have grown up and moved beyond it. Like, what happened to all of these kids?
Right. Or
What
even,
happened to all the kids of all these drug users?
and even now, like, the PTSD
Mhm.
in relation to what's going on now with the police,
Mhm.
and killing of Black people,
Yeah.
because that relationship with having police busted the house and, you know, manhandle us and all that kind, like that is there's a continuation of that now, right?
Yeah.
It did never stop. It never stopped. So not being able to trust the police is a very real thing,
Mhm.
very real thing. So
Absolutely. I'm so excited about you all stories. I really am. I'm so excited to see books. It really it's fulfilling for me to be able to hear other people say, I have an idea that I want to be able to follow through on. And I have this particular story, because a lot of our stories don't get told, or they get told through the lenses of other people who are not us, and then it's all twisted out of proportion and half of it isn't true. And, you know, there's power in being able to tell your own story in your own way. As opposed to letting, you know, just letting other people tell your story. So let me do number 9. What resources and support systems will I need during the writing process? So tools and resources. Tools and resources can be, you know, I need a writing schedule. I need a writing buddy. You know, I need to be able to talk to XYZ people about information that you might want to be able to include in your book. Okay, anyone want to share what resources and support systems will I need during the writing process?
I would say for me, because of the stats, especially, having access to like academic papers,
Mhm,
journals, things like that, the internet, the library.
mhm. Absolutely. Because a lot of those journals, you only get access to a certain amount of it. If you want to go deeper, you might need to go to a university library to get some of those stats that you might want to look for.
Exactly.
Anyone else?
For me, it would be access to Caribbean Americans, starting to interview them,
Mhm,
getting as many interviews as possible.
mhm,
Also on the support side of a writing group would be nice,
mhm.
just to be able to do stuff like this
Mhm.
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think feedback is really important for me. So maybe reading short excerpts or, you know, providing copy so that I could get feedback on what I'm writing
Mhm.
as a emerging author who's never really done this. And I appreciate, just like Latanda just put in a resource for me to consider. So just any help out there.
Yeah.
You know, I say this, and you know, my chosen part of my chosen profession is a librarian. So
Mhm,
I know how to use the library, but it's nice when people point things out
mhm.
to you.
Oh, yeah, to have a real life reference
Yeah, yeah,
that people know about is always nice.
yeah. Because librarians can be generalists, you know, and not know about a lot of things, not specific things. So
Mhm,
it's nice to be pointed in the right direction.
mhm. Yeah. Excellent. All right, the last question I have, what is the timeline or deadline I have? I'm saying for completing the book, but it could also be for your first draft of your book because, you know, I'm not one, I don't do books in 30 days. Like, or, you know, like let's write a book you know, there's plenty of people that do that. You know, I don't do that. I don't do simple, let's just write a simple book in 30 days type of person. That's not me. Your book can take, you know, 3 to 6 months. It could take a year, depending on what it is that you're doing. So think about how long it's going to take you to be able to do to complete your book or to at least write a first draft.
How long is a book supposed to be?
You
Like,
know what? That's a great question. And it honestly, it depends. It really depends on who it is that you're writing your book for, what you want to include in it. You know, just the average, I guess, nonfiction book, you can think, you know, 150 pages, typewritten. But it could be shorter than that because people write books. There's such a thing, there's like Kindle shorts, I think they're called.
mm,
You can do short stories. It really depends on how it is that you want to be able to organize it. But I always say enough to be able to meet the goals of writing your book. So if you tell your book, if you write your book in 75 to 100 pages, awesome. If you need 300 pages, write the 300 pages. And that's really why part of having a person write with you and to have like a sort of a map of what it is that you want to write from the beginning so that you don't just start writing. Like I've had people come to me and they've written stuff on their own and it's literally 200 pages of stream of consciousness. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot of stuff to be able to get through. And basically I just work with them to be able to start fresh from the beginning. Because stream of consciousness means they just, you know, they just sat down and just wrote stuff. There's no real chapters, there's no real order. They just sort of wrote what they felt in the moment. And there's space for that, but maybe not 200, 250 pages of it. You want to be able to start with, you know, a solid outline to be able to get you started. So anyone want to share what's your timeline? Have you given it any real thought, or do you feel like you need to get it done by a certain date, like a birth date or by an event that's going on in your life? What are your thoughts?
I'd like to have my first draft done by June 2025.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
June 20.
I think I'm gonna be the slow person in the room. I'm thinking maybe 2 years. I don't know how long a book takes to write. I have no
Yeah.
idea of it.
Yeah, I
So
hear you.
maybe 2 years.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
in my spare time. Mhm.
Because you have to think about when you're going to be able to write it. And you're still not absolutely clear on what it is that you want to be able to write about. Once you have absolute clarity on what it is that you're writing,
Mhm.
then it makes the process a lot easier. You feel like you'll be able to get it done in a much shorter amount of time. But that's a normal answer when you have, you know, several ideas that you're looking at to be able to start with.
Yeah, I feel clearer after this for sure.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad
So
to hear
maybe you knocked down 2 years, but still.
that. Mhm. Anyone else? Zakia?
So what would you say, I guess, is like the timeline with like first draft to
Mhm.
actually publishing?
First draft to actually publish it.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have a thing that I want to be able to offer to you all. So I have a month process where we write in a group. Actually, I'll just show it to you now.
And the reason why I asked is
Uh-huh.
because mine would be like walking back. So I
Yeah.
have my dad will be gone 10 years, January of 2026.
Mhm.
And so I would want to release mine.
You want your book done by then.
I want it released by then. Yes.
Really
That would be my
published and in the world.
published. There you go. Yes. Launched. I would want mine launched
Mhm. Yeah.
January of 2026.
Mhm.
And so walking, so I guess re-engineering or reverse
Mhm.
engineering. Yeah, that's why I asked about the timeline. So sorry.
Mhm. So the timeline, I like to take at least a good month just to be able to get the foundation. So let me show you what I mean by a foundation of the book. Where's this? This is the share button. Here we go. Share. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I am showing you a screen of a course that I'm offering. It's my 4-week book planning foundation group course where, let's see, is it going in and out for you or just me?
No,
No,
we
it's
can,
fine.
we can,
It's fine.
yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So it's the 4-week book planning foundation group course where we take 4 weeks. We meet for an hour once a week at about the same time that we're meeting today. And we go through 4 essentials that you need to be able to write the foundation of your book. To answer your questions, Zakia, once you get this foundation done, your book can take you anywhere from 3 months for some people. For other people, it will take 6 months. Others, it can take a year. It really depends on what your schedule is looking like, what else you have going on, those sorts of things. It's like if you put you put yourself a schedule together, you'll be able to get it done. Once you have your foundation together and you know what it is that you have to write, it can be done fairly quickly, 3 to 6 months. Some people might take a year because they have other, life is going on at the same time. Maybe they've got parents they got to take care of, they got kids or a job, a demanding job or whatever. So in this group course that I'm offering, week 1, we talk about our book fundamentals. You clarify your book idea and why you want to be able to write it. Having clarity, as we talked about here today, is super important. You're going to be able to have a clear statement as to what it is you're writing and why. Week 2, we move into who it is that we're writing our book for. We're defining the reader. Week number 3 is designing a structure for your book. So we're looking at the fundamentals, your table of contents. You need a book outline. What are you doing in chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And then you also write your back of the book copy. When you flip the book over and you sort of read, it's the marketing copy that we use to be able to talk about who this book is for and why they should actually purchase this book. Or in digital terms, it's your Amazon copy. You know, when you go on to Amazon and perhaps you want to be able to order a book, you don't have it in front of you to be able to flip over, but you do read the Amazon, you read the Amazon copy. And then there's the book marketing survey. One of the things that people always forget about is who am I selling this and how am I going to sell it to them? And it doesn't need to be really complicated, but you do need some clarity on who's going to buy the book and how it is you're going to get that book into the hands of people. I'm sure you've seen people on the internet and you put all this effort and energy into writing a book. And then they might sell a few copies, and once your grandparents and, the people that you work with and a couple of your closest Facebook friends actually buys the book, there's no one else for them to be able to sell the book to. So we need to be able to think about who it is that we're going to actually sell this book to outside of just placing the book on Amazon and hoping that somebody will pick it up. So as an additional bonus to the class, to the month-long class, everybody will get an individual private phone call for an hour. You can use it how you want. You can do the 1 hour in one lump sum. You can do it and break it up into 2 30-minute calls if you want to. And you can use that for up to 6 months while you're in the process of writing your book. And then I also have several nonfiction book templates, depending on the type of book that you're writing. So rather than feeling like you have to come up with a book outline on your own, you'll actually have a general template to be able to build on your own. So the class, it starts in 2 weeks, October 29th. We meet on Tuesdays, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, New York time. Again, starting on October 29th, and the cost of the course is $497 for the 4-week group course. So I will put, let's see. Let me go ahead. I will put this in the chat for you if you're interested. If you want to, talk about the class, you can certainly send me an email. This is my email. You don't necessarily have to decide today. But the cart will be open over the next week so that I'll be able to prepare for the class afterwards. Does anyone have any questions about the class or anything that we've discussed today in the 10 questions, or how I can support you in moving forward?
I have a question. Are the classes on Tuesdays, like every Tuesdays after the 29th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For 4 weeks after that.
How often do you offer this course, Helena?
This is my first time offering this course in this capacity. I'll, if I can get a group of people who want to do it this time and it goes well, I could offer it again in the new year. But I'm not sure. I'm just offering it now for people who are interested. If the price is a concern, I can cut the price into 2 payments if you want to do that. Just let me know, send me an email, and we'll figure it out. Anyone else?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to just say this was very useful and I learned so much, and you gave me things to think about that that didn't even cross my mind before, because I'm just like, oh, you sit and you write, you make an outline just like you do in elementary school. You write your outline and this is what you do and this is what you did and and then you just like, who am I writing this for? Not who the audience is. I would have never thought of that. So yeah, I mean, valuable information. This is really good. And I thank you for offering it and giving it.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it's been useful to you. Like I said in the beginning, for some of you, like the 10 questions might be enough for you to be able to go forth and do your own thing. But if this is something that you want to be able to work with in a group setting, I'm happy to support you in doing that and getting the foundation of your book together. I'm
Do
also
you do one-on-one for people who may not want to work in a group? Do you offer like
Uh-huh.
one-on-one coaching and things like that? People who want to write?
Yeah, I do strategy sessions for like an hour and a half, 2 hours for roughly the same price. That's available to you if you want to be able to do that. People like that, usually if they just can't, some people just, they don't have time or space to sit with the group and they just work better individually. And that way you get one-on-one time for a good 90 minutes to 2 hours to be able to talk about your particular book. You know,
Helena, do you offer writing groups outside of the course?
well, I have my Wednesday AM, like tomorrow morning, we're gonna meet with my Wednesday AM meditative writing circle. We do like
Okay.
journal writing exercises. So
Okay.
tomorrow we are talking about establishing your legacy. What legacy have you been leaving behind, whether it's intentional or not? And then moving forward, thinking about what type of legacy we want to be able to leave behind as we grow older.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I also want to say this has been very helpful. Like I said, I didn't know anything coming in, and
Mhm.
I did get some clarity around where I want to focus my writing. So thank
Good.
you very much.
Mhm. I'm also considering doing a writers group, a monthly writers group
Mm,
for a cheaper price. It'll be around probably in somewhere in mid-January.
okay.
Where it'll be based on how to build an audience for your book
Mm-hmm.
while you write your book at the same time. That'll probably be, I'll probably start off offering that at $50 a month, and then it'll probably go up to 90 something at some point if people seem to like it. But that'll meet once a month. There'll be one lesson in the beginning of the month. We'll sort of talk about how, things like how to grow an email list, how to be able to grow a community around what it is that you want to be able to write. Just because I really want to be able to make it so that you actually have people who want to buy your book once you actually write it. And then there'll be some resources in there to be able to support you with the actual writing of your book as well. So, if you can't do this go round, I understand, because 2 weeks is kind of quick. But to be able to offer, to think about that in the new year, because I think I do want to actually do that. I just need the space to be able to start putting those resources together. So if you're on my email list, you'll be able to get more information about that as we move closer to the new year.
That would be really good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
concur with everything. This was really helpful. Just in like thinking out loud and the recommendations and examples that you provide
Mhm.
are really, really helpful to get the juice flowing.
Yeah, good.
Mm,
I'm
yeah,
glad to hear that. Thank you.
so, yeah.
Right. Well, ladies, thank you so much. I didn't expect this to be an extra half an hour. I thought this was, I got to get better at timing this sort of stuff.
It's okay. At
But
least
thank
it's
you all.
okay.
I'm glad that this has been useful for everybody.
I'll be
Yeah,
in touch.
thank
I'll send you an email, Alana.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
All
good
right,
to
well,
see everybody.
Yeah, good to see everyone.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.